friends, let's take a look at Tezos. And looking here, we can see that with regards to the moving averages, which is getting a little bit more of a look in today's episodes than they have done in the recent past, like I've been promising people that I would do. Looking here at the moving averages, you can see on the 4-hour time frame that while we were coming up here and challenging this amber light to get into this section with positive price action, as you can see if I zoom right out as well with regards to the VPVR, that there's this big drop off as we knew there would be between these two sections, which is why this is labeled out like this quite clearly anyway. Well, it's not why, but one thing, chicken and egg, right? Chicken and egg. And if we can see ourselves moving above the 200 simple, that would be, of course, divine. Looking over here, it's been quite a while since we've really had any interaction with the 200 simple. And at these points, we weren't really seeing anything particularly significant. We were, movements above it have been very good for upwards. Movements down below it, very good for bearishness. Movements above it, very good for bullishness, blah, blah, blah. And down here again, the same thing. Since this period, it's been really showing us the trend. Can we move up above it in this 4-hour time frame? That would at least give us a little bit of sort of confidence with regards to the failure that we've experienced so far with regards to this price action recently. We can see that this high is actually coming in here and being equal to this other high. We've got a higher high over here on the RSI, so we're doing it without divergence. Okay, that's okay. We're doing it just without it. That's what I'm going to say with regards to this, and that's looking all right. Can we come up here, maintain our stance above the 21 exponential moving average, which of course did cross it just before we came back up and re-challenged this area, having had this head and shoulders over here, which played out towards the downside, coming in and giving us support. We've also had this end of the volatility period here on the DMI down below at the point at which ever all these crosses happened, giving you a degree of confluence with regards to the momentum towards the top side. But of course, we've had significant areas above us to really consider along the way, and that's what we've been considering along the way, if you will. But let's just jump over to the dollar pricing, because of course, as people know, this is perhaps the more significant area. Now, I'm not a fan of this pitchfork in the background, despite the fact that it's quite obviously been very, very, very good for the technical analysis. It's just kind of annoying me to look at it. I'm going to hide everything off the charts here with regards to this particular one, and I'll look at the drawings and stuff that we have on the other ones instead for this particular episode. We're above the 21 EMA here, below the 233, having moved up above the 200 simple. So it's a similar story, except as you can see here, the stance of these things is slightly different, with the 233 being above the 200 simple and still being below that. Over here, we're above the 200 simple and the 21 EMA and being resisted by the 233. If we move past that, then of course that things start to look a lot better, really, in general. And if we look at this high versus the previous high over here, then of course we can start to say that this is no longer going to be hidden bearish divergence if we can really start to trend towards the top side. The big Darton activity in terms of the VPVR comes in there just above these zones, and you could realistically look up again then in terms of your big profit target as being that 350 zone that people really like to talk about. But of course, the key area for us in the meantime, hopefully I've got a Fibonacci retracement here for us in one of these other charts to look at. Yes, it's going to be 252, as we can see here, and that is the 252 cents, $2.52. That is, of course, coming in here, and if we struggle in this area, move up and down, maybe, we need to refine support upon this 233 exponential moving average, and then, consolidate there before moving up the way. Wouldn't be too big a deal if we did, given the depth of the activity that we've had here, and of course, the struggle is real. But if we do move past that zone, then of course, we've got clear skies almost as high as the 382, the 618 Fibonacci retracement zone in there at that $350 is point. So that's what we're looking to. Can we do all of that or not? I'd love to see it happen. Of course I would, bearing in mind that we've got these traffic lights as well to overcome first off. And of course we've got this top end of this pitchfork. And where does that line up at? Oh, 252. So you see, while it's ugly and I'm not liking it being on my screen, of course, the utility of that thing is still remains in place. Looking here at the Ethereum price action, you can see that, well, we're coming in with these nodes here on the VPVR, and we're just below the 200 simple, which is lining up perfectly with this green line that we drew in several days ago, having not actually managed to really significantly conquer this area. While we did get opens and closes just above or on the green line itself, we actually had this downward slope into 200 simple moving average here, and that's kind of, been giving us a little bit of a headache. So let's see if we can push past that zone. We're still managing to more or less maintain ourselves within this area as well. Everything's kind of going along fairly positively, okay? Looking at this high versus this previous high, we've got this slight bullish convergence with regards to the RSI. Of course, this is a very small term time frame that I'm looking at. But if we got towards the 24-hour time frame and make the same sort of comparison, how are we doing? Well, actually, it's not that great. So what we want to see is pushing past it, because at the minute, you could have this premature hidden bearish divergence looking between these two recent highs. That's obviously not the case over here on the stochastics, and we're still waiting to see, this downward sloping line is it seems to be, more would be ideal would be there, and that's the ideal for that there. We are moving outside of this zone in terms of the RSI, coming back down, finding support at this swing failure area. We're doing everything that we spoke about doing. The accuracy is phenomenal here. It's real. And we do have the potential for a positive cross here, 24-hour time frame, positive over the negative, the yellow over the pink, whilst we have the ADX, above the red. So it's below 25, sure, but it's above 20. Looking down the time frames and seeing how that story continues. Chop there on the 12, positive trend on the 4. Wait, where's the white line as well? Looking at this, yeah, so volatility did come in there as our sort of the number. By the way, if you're interested, I've updated the code in this thing yet again so that you can change the volatility number yourself. For instance, 12.5 as well, if you like. Oh my god, that's 125. Do I not get to put in points? No, they're whole numbers. Whatever, 12 if you want to, 11, 10, 9. Depending on how, when you want to use that. I just wanted to give people more flexibility with this tool. Of course, this is just stylized options on top of the DMI information down below. But as you can see here, this is we're in this zone where we could potentially pick up with a degree of momentum, as opposed to the chop and indeed the volatility following sideways chop. And here we have another positive, or a negative cross, sorry, on the lower time frames, which is as erratic. Can we find support in here at the 200 simple, the 50 simple? Looking at this here as well on the 2-hour time frame, we're right positioned to have a golden cross, having not had a golden, or the last time we had a cross was all the way back there on the 20th of August, when you could really say that we failed to turn around any downward price action here in this big period of consolidation with a descending triangle here in the 2-hour time frame. So looking towards seeing this moving towards the top side. Let's see if it's the same story over here as well. We've got a golden cross just there. Let's just look up the way. Yep, on that one. Oh, coming in for it on the 4 hours. So the 4-hour time frame, let's see, can we get this? Of course, positivity to be there, and we're right next to it as well. As opposed to crossing when we're not next to it. Tezos isn't the best for getting examples of this particular thing. Look, regardless, the price's action's right next to it. We could easily retest, confirm this, and then move towards the top side after a cross. That would be handy. And what about Bitcoin? Let's just check the Bitcoin one. Yes, okay, so we're between these two here. So that's why we're kind of looking across the board and saying we want to see this sort of resolve and create resolution with all three in this sort of the trifecta of our approaches to doing this technical analysis. I'm going to leave off there, actually. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name's been Rocky Outcrop. It'll be Rocky Outcrop when I come back tomorrow as well, by the way. So be sure to join me for that technical analysis. This has been a wee bit more weighted towards the moving averages, of course. Check out the other videos for today, Bitcoin, Chainlink, Ethereum as well. They're all very, very good. And of course, as well, tell your friends, youtube.com / Rocky Outcrop. It's just, mind blowing. Check out the comments between in history as well, if you like, and look at what people think. Ask people on Twitter what they think if you want to get another idea. I'm completely open and transparent. Every video that I put out is, recorded live, ad-libbed with my exact thoughts. None of this is done to manipulate you into thinking that I'm better than I am. This is just me being me. Honestly, I try to give you as a genuine realness as I possibly can with regards to what it is to be, doing this at a high level, and hopefully encourage you to sort of follow along in that mode yourself. So, good luck. Thanks for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. You're welcome back again in the future. Tell your friends. A friend of yours, a friend of mine. I'll see you tomorrow.